UFC 327 is going down this Saturday night in Miami. Yuri Prohashka taking on Carlos Ulberg for the vacant light heavyweight title. Poton's going up to heavyweight. We did have Van versus Tyro, but that got moved to 328. It's still a pretty good card. We have a rare Paulo Costa sighting. That doesn't happen too much. Hokit jumping up to fight Blades in the light heavyweight rankings. Johnny Walker versus Dominic Reyes. So it's a big night for light heavyweight. Should be a good card. Let's get right into it. First fight of the night, Charles Radke versus Francisco Prado. Charles Radke was supposed to fight last week on the fight night and then got moved over to Prohashka versus Ulberg. This should be a pretty easy win for Radke. Radke's 4-2 in the UFC. He got killed by Paratas and then he lost to Mike Malott. He fights a bunch. He's coming off a submission win over Daniel Frunza. That dude's been trash in the UFC. I don't think he's won a fight since. But then Prado, however you say it, 1-4 in the UFC. This dude has not won since 2023. He fought twice last year and lost. I mean, last year he lost to Zell Huber, who hasn't been too good since. This dude seems pretty trash. This should be an easy win for Radke. It looks like they just need to get him a short notice opponent. And he should win. This should be a good, easy win for Thug Jitsu, Charles Radke. I got it 30-27 Radke by decision. He might even get a finish in there. I wouldn't doubt it. But I'm just going to play it safe. Go decision. Next up, Kelvin Gastelum taking on Vicente Luque. Man, Kelvin Gastelum, I doubt he'll make weight. He peaked in 2019. The Adesanya fight was his absolute peak. He got to an interim gold fight. Got beat by Izzy. I think we should have known Izzy wouldn't have done. I mean, his title run was obviously awesome, but like he struggled to beat Kelvin Gastelum in his prime. But I mean, Gastelum's 3-2 in his last 5. He obviously just lost to Pyfer, and then he lost to Sean Brady. Those are two, those are two great names. Sean Brady and Joe Pyfer have both done really good things since beating him. He beat Chris Curtis, who has sucked. Chris Curtis very up and down. He beat D-Rod, who is in a Mexico prison. I'm pretty sure D-Rod's still in prison. And then he just come off a win against Dustin Zoltfuss. I mean, he could still fight. He looks pretty good for his age, but he does seem to have a weight advantage in every single fight because he can't make weight. He's fighting like a 100-year-old Vicente Luque who just lost to Yoel Alvarez and Kevin Holland. So I mean, both of these guys could retire. Honestly, if Gastelum wins this fight, he'll keep going, keep it rolling. But Luque, once he does lose to Kelvin Gastelum, he needs to just hang it up. Because he hasn't won a fight since 2023, and that was against Themba Gorimbo, the dude that The Rock bought a house for. Yeah, he needs to just hang it up. He had a good career. I think he's really close to breaking some records. He might have broke his last fight against Yoel Alvarez, but yeah, I got Kelvin Gastelum 29-28 decision. His next fight looks like it's going to be a pretty good one. Chris Padilla versus Markel Medeiros. A battle of some prospects, you could say. I don't really know if they're prospects. They've both been in the UFC for a little bit, but still not super well known. Padilla is 4-0 in the UFC. He just TKO'd Ismail Bonfim. I think it was an upset. I don't know what the odds actually were, but I think I picked Bonfim to win. And then he's only ever been to one UFC decision, which was against Jai Herbert in early 2025. So Padilla's pretty legit. Kind of like a Marab style, just a lot of volume, a lot of pressure. Makes it dirty, makes it hard to win. And then Medeiros is kind of the opposite. Medeiros also unbeaten in the UFC, 3-0, all decisions. I don't think he's fought the same level of competition as Padilla. His only loss was in 2022, and he's 9-0 since. He's got really crisp boxing, really good kicks. He switches it up a lot. But I don't know. I just think Padilla's pressure is going to be too much. I don't see Medeiros getting too many good shots in if he's just constantly moving backwards and constantly getting taken down. I mean, Medeiros has pretty good takedown defense, but like I said, I just don't think he's faced the same level as comp as Padilla. I don't think we've seen Medeiros at his best. And I think Padilla's going to be too much for him. So I think Padilla moves to 5-0. I've got another decision. Padilla 29-28. I think it'll be a close one. I'm sure Medeiros will land a few good shots and win a round, but I think Padilla wins overall. Next up, I was surprised to see this one so low in the prelims. Tatiana Suarez versus Lupi Godinez. Tatiana's 7-1 in the UFC still. Like, she's coming off, or not coming off, but she lost to Zhang Wei Li. But that was like a 2-year layoff. She had cancer. She beat Jessica Andrade. She beat Amanda Lemos, Carla Esparza, Alexa Grasso. Obviously, he's got amazing wrestling. She's still very legit. She got dominated by Zhang Wei Li, but once again, it was after a really long layoff. Um, and then Lupe Godinez is 9-5 in the UFC. She fights a lot. She also beat Andrade last year, but she has losses to Dern, Jandrioba, Angela Hill, Jessica Penne. She loses a lot. She's pretty up and down, kind of like the Kevin Holland of this division. And I think Suarez is going to be too much for her. I think Suarez could probably submit her pretty early or into the second round, but just to play it safe, because my picks were so bad last week, we're going Suarez by decision once again. See, like, people are really hyped about this card. I get it. A lot of big name value, but I think it's going to be a lot of decisions. Last week had a lot more finishes. I think people are really hating on that card. But, yeah, I think Godinez is probably going to lose, and Suarez will probably fight to another title shot soon. And I could see her winning. Like, the wrestling's really good. I don't see why not. Next up, Matus Gamrot versus Esteban Ribovitz. I think this is going to be a really good fight. Both of these dudes, just really good boxers, really good brawling. Gamrot, the last big name Gamrot beat was Fiziev back in 2023. He's 8-4 in the UFC, 2-2 in the last 2 years. He lost to Oliveira, he lost to Hooker, and then he beat Ludwig Klein and an old washed RDA. So he hasn't really done too much in the recent years. Obviously, he's still a very well-known name. He's got a lot of talent, but yeah, he hasn't really done anything too impressive since like 2023. And then Ribovitz, 4-2 in the UFC. He obviously had Fight of the Year in 2024 against El Huber. He killed McKinney, beat Elvis Brenner. He's just a big-time scrapper. Just a lot of dirty boxing. Obviously, good kickboxing. That's what he killed McKinney with, the crazy head kick. I think Ribovitz is probably... I could see him finishing Gamrot, but I think it's going to be a decision. Gamrot could probably win around. Ribovitz gets a little messy. That's why he's not super high in the rankings. But I think this is a big win for Ribovitz if he can get this one. Obviously, Gamrot's still a big name. Good win on the resume. I think he needs this. So, Esteban Ribovitz, 29-28. And then moving right along, I was shocked to see this one on the prelims as well. Interesting that they have Cub Swanson and Nate Landwehr over Kevin Holland and Randy Brown. Kevin Holland has fought, this is his 29th UFC fight, I think. 29th UFC fight. He obviously had the loss to D-Rod, and then lost to Mike Malott. But he beat Vicente Luque and Gunnar Nelson. And then he also has losses to RDR and Delete. So obviously, everybody knows the story of Holland. He's just up and down, up and down. When he's locked in, he's not fighting for money. He's fighting for rankings. He was able to break into the rankings. It looked like he was going to make a decent little run, but then he tries to fight 5 times a year at the same time, and he's losing to guys like D-Rod and Mike Malott. But on the other hand, Randy Rude Boy Brown, this is his 10th year in the UFC. This dude lost to Nico Price. He lost to Brian Battle, who just proved he's not legit in the PFL. Anytime he steps up in competition at all, he loses. He lost to Gabriel Bonfim, he lost to JDM, he lost to Bilal. If he beat Kevin Holland, it'd be his best win on his resume. Like, that's saying something. And Kevin Holland really needs a win. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. I don't think he's ever lost 3 fights in his career, ever. So this would be the first time ever Kevin Holland lost 3 fights in a row, and I just don't see Randy Brown being the guy to send Kevin Holland on a 3-fight losing streak. So I got Kevin Holland round 2 submission. I think the first round will have some good kickboxing, some good exchanges, but I think Kevin Holland's going to get it to the ground super easily. He's got really good jiu-jitsu. He's got some good inside trips. I think he'll get him down and submit him pretty easily. So yeah, Kevin Holland round 2 sub. Also shocked that this one's on the prelims. Patricio Pitbull versus Aaron Pico. Obviously, Pitbull, or both these guys, huge Bellator names that came over and made their UFC debuts. Both of them lost their UFC debuts. Pitbull lost to Yair in his debut, and then went and beat Dan Ige a few months later. But he's 2-3 in his last 5 since 2023. So he's fought 5 times since 2023. This will be a 6th fight, and he's 2-3 in those last 5. I think... I say this a lot about people, but it's just because they all fight until they're way too old. He should probably just retire soon. Like, I don't see it. 2-3 in your last 5. Those losses being Yair Rodriguez, and then you beat Dan Ige by decision. And now he's fighting Aaron Pico. Pico's 3-2 in his last 5. Obviously, just got killed by Lerone Murphy last August. But I mean, if he would have beat Murphy, he would have been fighting for a title, and then we wouldn't have had the Diego Lopez rematch. But he looked pretty good to start the Lerone Murphy fight. He kept getting hit with knees every time he enters. I feel like maybe his entries were a little too obvious, but I think Pico's going to be too much for Pitbull. Pitbull's just too old. He got to the UFC way too late. Pico still got to the UFC. He's technically in like his MMA prime. He's 29, so Pico got here at a good time. But Pitbull just got here way too late. He still has yet to get a UFC finish. I think this one's going to go to a decision because Pitbull's still, he's not bad, but he's just going to be a gatekeeper if he stays around another few years. So I think Pico wins a pretty boring decision. I mean, not boring, but there's just not going to be a finish. I think there's going to be a lot of wrestling exchanges. Both these guys can get it to the ground pretty easily, but I think Pico, he's the bigger guy, he's the younger guy. Pico, 29-28. I think they'll give Pitbull a round, but Pico gets the win. Unanimous. And then moving on to the main card, I don't get this one being on the main card. I mean, just Nate the Train, or whatever they call him. They just love putting him on the main card. He's taking on Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson's 42, dude. This just shows how little these guys are getting paid because they just fight until they're about to die. Like, if he eats a big enough right hand, like, he might just die. He's 42. I don't get it. 3-2 in his last 5, though. But that's going all the way back to 2021. He obviously hasn't been fighting as much. He just beat Billy Quarantillo in December of 2024. I said just beat. It was over a year ago. He finished him in the 3rd round. But I mean, yeah, it's going all the way back to 2021. He hasn't fought. This will be his 6th fight in 5 years. He has no reason to be out there fighting. He's proved everything he's needed to prove. He's Cub Swanson. And then Nate, he's 2-3 in his last 5. He lost to Dooho Choi in 3rd round. He lost to Dan Ige. He lost to Morgan Sherry in the 3rd round. He just goes out there and he puts it all on the line. You gotta respect that. He's either finishing or getting finished. But he gets chinned a lot in those big exchanges. When he does the Max Holloway just brawl for the final few seconds, he's the one getting chinned every time. So I don't understand why he keeps doing it. He hasn't won since March of 2024, and I mean, he just really needs a win. Obviously they love throwing him on the main card. They probably won't cut him, but like, if he loves these main card spots, he needs a finish. And I mean, if there's anyone he's gonna finish, it should probably be 42-year-old Cub Swanson. He can send Cub Swanson right into retirement. Just send him. They're in Miami. He never has to leave Miami. Cub Swanson can just retire and stay there forever. So I think it's going to be a brawl, a dirty fight, and then 3rd round comes, and then it's a Nate Landwehr fight. There's going to be a big exchange, and I think Weiler gets him. I think Nate Landwehr, round 3 TKO. I think he finishes him late in the 3rd, just like the Morgan Sherry fight, but Nate the Train comes out on top this time. Moving on, Dominic Reyes versus Johnny Walker. I mean, what a fight. This is the guy that beat John Jones versus the guy who was supposed to beat John Jones. So, I mean, the winner of this should probably fight John Jones, right? Johnny Walker versus John Jones in 2027? I'm not opposed to it, right? Dominic Reyes is 3-2 in his last 5. That 2 of those losses, I mean, he got KO'd by Ryan Spann in the 1st round. That's what makes this fight really tough to think about. Who loses to Ryan Spann? He's got a Superman tattoo across his chest. He calls himself Superman Spann. I don't. But then after that, he won 3 in a row. He had a pretty impressive win against Dustin Jacoby. He beat Lionheart Anthony Smith, and then he beat Nikita Krylov. But then he got whooped by Olberg in the title eliminator. So it should be him fighting Yuri again for a title shot, but he got killed by Olberg. But, I mean, Walker, he's 2-1 in his last fight. Obviously, he had the 2 fights with Ankalaev where he basically got killed in both of them, but he just got lucky in the first one. They called it a no contest. And then he got destroyed by Volkan Ozdemir. He did beat Zhang Minyang. It was kind of like you could say a Sean O'Malley, Cheeto Vera situation. Good time leg kick just shattered the knee, and then it was over. So you could say a lucky win. And then he subbed Kudalaba. and then beat Paul Craig way back in the day. So I mean, obviously he's still super explosive. Uh, Apparently his leg kicks are crazy. And then his BJJ should be better than the last time we saw him. Obviously, Walter Walker's brother, he's got 4 leg locks in a row in the UFC. So, I mean, Johnny Walker should be working the leg lock with them. So, don't be surprised if we see Johnny Walker by leg lock. But, no, realistically, it's going to be a Johnny Walker fight. So, it's going to be a really explosive, big first exchange. And I think Reyes comes out on top after that. I think Reyes will probably hurt him in an early exchange. Reyes needs this win bad. Last time he lost, he went on to lose 4 in a row. So he needs to just not fall into another losing streak. The last loss was to a tough opponent. He needs to win this one against Walker if he wants to stay relevant. So I got Dominic Reyes by round 1 TKO. I think it's going to be a big first exchange, and Reyes sleeps him. Next up, Curtis Blades versus Josh Hokett. Josh Hokett jumping all the way up the rankings. I think Blades is, 4th, 6th? Curtis Blades, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, going all the way back to 2022. Obviously, he, quote-unquote, beat Tom Aspinall. There's a freak injury. That sucked. And then he got knocked out by Pavlovich. He slept Almeida and then lost to Aspinall in the interim title fight and then beat an up-and-coming prospect. So he still got it in him, but he's never going to be champ as long as Aspinall's around. And then Hokett, he's 8-0, 2-0 in the UFC, both first-round finishes. He just whooped Freeman. He outstruck him 71-0. Freeman didn't land a single significant strike. I don't think he landed a single strike. Not even significant, just total strike. 0 total strikes. And then, he finished him off with the middle finger. I think the first ever middle finger TKO. So that was pretty awesome. So Hokett's pretty legit. And he's obviously pretty good on the mic. So I'm hoping Hokett wins and can just get jumped right up into the rankings. This will be really good for the bigger divisions. So I got Hokett 29-28. I don't think there'll be any finish in this fight. They're both pretty competitive boxers, good striking. So as long as it doesn't end up on the ground, I think Hokett can win a good split decision. Next up, we have our rare once every few years Paulo Costa sighting. We got Azamat Murzakanov versus Paulo Costa. Murzakanov 16-0. He's 6-0 in the UFC, 6th ranked middleweight. Should be getting a title shot soon. He's only been to 1 decision against Dustin Jacoby, who obviously is, legit. And then he KO'd Brenson Ribeiro, Alonzo Menafield, Alexander Rakic. This guy needs a title shot. He needs to get launched up there because he's just a straight finisher. And then he's taking on Paulo Costa, who's 15-4 in the UFC, obviously. 2-3 in his last 5. He lost to Strickland, lost to Whitaker, and then he beat Roman Kopylov. The other win, I think that was like Rockhold all the way back in 2021. So, he hasn't looked like his old self since he looked really good in the Roman Kopylov fight. Landed like 100-something total significant strikes. But over the past few years, he has looked really bad ever since the Adesanya loss. And then the Rockhold fight. But, the Whitaker and the Strickland fights were pretty bad. And then, obviously, Murzakanov is 16-0. 6-0 in the UFC. I don't see Costa being the guy breaking that streak. Unless we see, vintage, straight elite kickboxing Paulo Costa, this should be an easy win for Murzakanov. So, I've got it. Azamat either 30-27 or 29-28. I don't think he'll finish Costa because, Costa's been around for so long, but he'll definitely beat Costa. We've got Yuri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg for the vacant light heavyweight strap. Yuri, he's not been beaten in the UFC except for Alex Pereira. He beat Rakic, Jamal Hill, Roundtree. Obviously, he beat Glover for the belt. He beat Reyes. But, the only person he's lost to was Alex Pereira. And then Ulberg, 9-fight win streak. Only loss was his debut. But, he's beat Ozdemir. He took an old Blachowicz to a decision. He beat Menafield. And then he just KO'd Reyes. Yuri's clearly levels above him. I don't understand how anyone's picking Ulberg. Obviously, Ulberg's pretty fast. He's got pretty good hands. But just because he has less fights doesn't make him the younger guy. He's 2 years older than Yuri. I'm seeing people talking about age is going to play. He's 2 years older than Yuri. Yuri has a bunch of fights, sure, but that's just because he's good, dude. He can fight a lot. Because he wins a lot. A lot of first-round KOs lets you fight a lot. I don't think this is going to be a first-round KO. I think it's going to be a technical fight. You know, Yuri a lot recently has been a lot more patient. You know, he takes his time a lot more. I think it'll go into the fourth, but I could see Yuri getting a round 4 TKO. He's going to get his belt back. He's going to shut down all the talk, and he's going to turn Olberg away. Olberg's got to go back fighting the rankings. Just nothing. The worst thing that could happen then is if Pereira came back down and fought Yuri. Because then obviously Yuri loses his title again. But I think Yuri's getting his belt back this week. I think it's going to finish in the round 4, round 3. But yeah, I think he's looked so good recently. He whooped Khalil Roundtree. He whooped Jamal Hill. Now he's going to whoop Carlos Olberg. I think Roundtree's probably better than Olberg. But yeah, Yuri round 4 should be a pretty good card. Everybody tune in. You don't have to pay for it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.